I just got this thing put back together. I'm filthy. Please overlook it. But I just got it put back together, and I wanted to get this information out there as soon as possible. Several of these machines have already sold at auction. I know a guy who's also purchased one of these from a reseller already, and he's having the same problem I am. So I'm going to get him this information, but I also wanted to put this out there as soon as possible, because if you just purchased one of these at auction, you probably spent around $10,000. And this machine is useless with this problem. So you have a $10,000 yarn ornament right now trying to figure out what's wrong with this thing. So sorry I'm messy. We're going to get right into the video. I'm going to show you guys what's wrong with this thing. And thanks for watching. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you have one of these new STE20SR 2-ton mini excavators and you're having an issue when you're using the hydraulics, it's bogging down and stalling out the engine, well, then you've come to the right place, because I'm going to tell you today how to fix that and save you a lot of time in troubleshooting, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. Here's a quick walk around before I put the rest of the panels back on. I've already replaced the rear bumper back on, but it does have to come off as well to make these adjustments. As you can see, the pump is on this side. With the rear bumper off, you can get full access to the pump. With the rear bumper on, you can see the power valve down there. That's why the rear bumper needs to be removed. But I wanted to give you this angle before I put it all the way back together, just to show you that on this machine, with all the access panels off, everything is easily accessible. All right, so before I get into showing you a little demonstration on what this thing, mine, was doing, I'll give you a little backstory real quick. I bought this machine about 2 weeks ago, popped up at one of the local auctions a couple hours from me. First one I'd seen. I knew what it was right away because I talked to a lot of different manufacturers directly straight from China, so I've seen this machine before. Even though it just came out in March and is just now starting to trickle into the States and to the auctions, I was already kind of familiar with it. I already knew, again, when I seen it, I knew that's a true 2-ton machine. That's not your typical 1.5, 2-ton, fake 2-ton Chinese machines you've been seeing at auction. But anyways, when I seen it, I knew what I could buy them for direct from the manufacturer, so I was determined I was getting this thing at auction. Well, fast forward, I won it. Got a great deal on it. Several $1,000s less than straight from the manufacturer. And that may be part of why this video is here. So I go get it. I get it home, getting it unloaded. I'm calling around, calling friends. Hey, do you got something I can dig? I want to test this machine. I want to see how much better it is than these other machines. Well, nobody had anything right away. So I was like, man, I'm just going to go back here. I've got a pile of dirt. I'm just going to go back here and dig in it. I should be able to tell. So I get back there. I start digging. Now, keep in mind, it's a brand new machine. No hours on it, right? So I'm back here and I'm digging. All of a sudden, I'm digging and the engine's stalling when I'm digging. Not at idle, but when I'm digging. And I'll put a video demonstration up of that right now. Let you see that. So you see here, I'm digging, it's stalling out, and you can hear the engine bogging down. That's not normal. As well as when I'm tracking. Okay? Tracking is probably when it does it the worst. So I'm going to put another little clip right here, and you can see tracking. I know what you're thinking. Oh, the pressure is way too high on that thing. You're tracking way too fast. You need to turn it down. That's I thought all the same things. But long story short, that wasn't the issue. So I figured out, I've got a problem. Before I start tearing into this thing, because, this is a lot bigger machine. It means there's a lot more components, which means, I'm just not familiar with it. So before I start tearing into this thing, I'm gonna go to the Facebook groups. There's several groups out there. There's several groups that are beneficial. I don't post in them much, but I follow them daily. I stay on there. I see everything. So I know the common issues. I know things to check, but I don't post on there much. But since this was a new machine, just came out, quick couple Google searches, I found out really fast, no info out there. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna go to Facebook, I'm gonna make a post, I'm gonna post my video, I'm just gonna see what people are thinking. I mean, I already had my thoughts, but I wanted to see before I started tearing into it if my thoughts lined up with other people's thoughts, or if I was completely wrong and needed to start elsewhere. So anyways, I go to Facebook, I make the post, I get some great suggestions. Hey man, you've got a valve sticking here, that's why it's bogging down. I thought that. Another guy, hey, the governor will cause that. Okay, I didn't know that. So put that down on my list of things to check. Well, then I get a message from a guy named Cam Sweet. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. He's the owner over at Garage Connection YouTube channel and Central Digger Supply. But he comments, asks a couple questions. I post some pictures of the pump. He follows up with wanting some model numbers. So I message him some model numbers. He gets back to me. I send him a couple more videos. Right off the rip, he tells me, he says, man, I think the flow of the pump is too high. That's what's causing your issue. So after Cam suggested the max flow was the issue, before I dove into that, I did check some other stuff. I completely stripped all the panels. I took every hose and line off of the valve body, inspected inside, blew out, cleaned for debris in case there was a stuck valve. I removed the hydraulic tank completely, flushed it, cleaned the filters, new fluid, drained the engine oil, which I know didn't have anything to do with it, but while I had it apart, went ahead and drained the engine oil, new filters, new oil, removed the diesel fuel tank, completely drained it, cleaned out the lines, checked all my pressure, checked my pressure on my pressure relief valve, checked my pilot control pressures, all those things. And up to this point, everything I had checked and changed made no difference. So after, and again, Cam made his suggestion. I started reaching out to Eddie Co. That takes days. Communicating with the Chinese is not easy. So in between the time that I found out that the flow was probably the issue and the time that I found out how to adjust the flow of the pump, I tried all these other things and none of those things worked. So I got almost 2 weeks in on working on this machine, and I want to save you that time. So I asked Cam, I said, what does that mean? It's a flow issue. And he says, the reason I can tell it's a flow issue is because when the machine has no resistance, like when you're just moving front to back, the engine seems to handle that fine. But as soon as you give the machine any sort of resistance, like trying to pivot on one track or just turn in place, the machine is so concerned about pumping its max flow that the engine can't maintain that flow at the pressure that it's wanting it at, so it tries to stall and kill the engine. Okay, that's news to me. I don't know hydraulics that well. This guy does, so I was very grateful he was willing to take the time and help me because he didn't have to. So I want to give him a shout out. You guys go check out his YouTube channel. That's the Garage Connection. If you haven't already checked him out, he's a hydraulics expert in my opinion. But anyway, so I said, Cam, what's the next steps? How do I change the flow on this machine? So he requested a little more info about the pump. I sent him all I had. I got online. I finally figured out the manufacturer for this pump is called Eddie Co. It's a Chinese company. Imagine that. So again, I've got Chinese contacts, so I'm not new to trying to get a hold of these companies. So I was able to get a hold of Eddie Co. I talked to Eddie Co. I sent them some videos. I sent them some information. I requested some information, owner's manuals for the pump. because after, again, some research, I figured out that the compensator on the pump is what changes the flow. And again, this all sounded Chinese to me, no pun intended, but I read and I read and I read, so I learned the compensator, what that does is when you adjust that, is there's a wash plate inside that pump. And when you adjust that compensator, that wash plate's at an angle. Okay, when you adjust that compensator, if you adjust it out, it straightens the wash plate and reduces your flow. And when you adjust it in, it increases the angle of the wash plate and increases your flow. So that's what I needed to adjust. How do I adjust it? Cam said he'd never seen a pump like this. The way that it was, most of these variable pumps are made, the adjustments, this one isn't made that way. So again, after several days going by, communicating with Eddieco, they sent me over some instructions. I'm going to put those up now. I'll leave these up for a minute while I talk. These instructions are how to adjust the power valve on the hydraulic pump. And again, going back with Cam and talking, what's a power valve? He'd never seen this type of setup. I really hadn't seen this. But we decided that I found some schematics, some wiring schematics and such on the pump, and I sent those to him. And from looking at those, he could tell that the compensator on this pump is internal. So this power valve that they're suggesting that I adjust has two different adjustments on it. So if you'll read those directions that I've posted, that's how you adjust the flow on this Eddieco pump. By adjusting the flow on the Eddieco pump, that's how I fixed my problem. So on the adjustments, it says the first adjustment you do 45 degrees and the second adjustment you do 170 degrees. So I started with marking the threads with a paint marker. I'll put a picture up here. And then I started with my adjustments. I made one adjustment, and yes, those adjustments are decreasing the flow. If you wanted to increase the flow, you would do the opposite. So I did one adjustment. I hopped on the machine. I took out. I immediately could tell a difference, but it was still bogging a little. But hey, that's great news, right? I've made a difference. So I adjusted it one more time and got back on the machine, tested it out, problem solved. I'll show you a new demonstration here in a second of me running the machine now. The same type movements I was doing in my previous demonstrations, no bogging of the engine. So that's how you fix the stalling engine on the STE20SR. As you can see, no stalling whatsoever. I couldn't do this before. Install the engine. Now I can do whatever I want. Rabbit mode. I don't drop any RPMs whatsoever. I'll put these schematics up one more time, all the different schematics that I got on this pump. I'll put them up one more time for the end of this video. That way, if anybody needs them, wants to screenshot them so you have them. This is all the information that's out there. Some of this information is not even out there. I got this directly from Eddieco, and it's not anywhere on the internet. So I'll put it up now so you guys got it. Appreciate you watching. If you've got this machine and you're having that issue, I'm confident that's going to be your problem. So I hope this helps. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot. Big shout out again to Cam over at Garage Connection. And thanks for watching.